Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a Shipman's variant in the vise. It's a dry fly that I've used on still waters for probably 25 years or more. I've replaced the original's Antron breathers with closed cell foam to help it just float that little bit more, and it's also a lot more visible on the water. We've got a Kamasan B400 size 12 in the vise. I find this is a really good strong hook for its weight. It is quite a lightweight dry fly hook. I'm going to apply a flat bed of UTC black. I like using this thread particularly with foam because it doesn't cut through like some GSP threads would do. Now I'm going to use a scalpel to nip this off because I find scalpels are a lot easier to use. You can get in quite quickly. You do have to watch for the sharp blade, of course. So I've got the closed cell foam, which is roughly 2.5mm square. I cut this out in strips on a cutting board with a scalpel and a steel rule. Now what I'm doing, I'm carefully wrapping this onto the shank of the hook because you can cut through this if you apply too much pressure. But I stretch it slightly as it's going down and use my thumbnail just to trap it in position. It's also a good idea not to trap the foam down too much because it is a buoyancy aid for the fly. So I'm trapping it down just past the bend, I would say, or just level with where the barb will be on the hook. So I'm going to put some pearl tinsel onto this, and the pearl tinsel that I have found the best over the years is this one from Bob Church, which some of the older viewers will remember. I'm having trouble finding it now, so I'm just going to pull a strip of this off. I'm going to tie a few flies up, so I'll probably take enough off to tie all the flies. That way you've got a lot less waste and it just makes more sense, especially when you're dealing with things which, like this material, I'm quickly running out of. So I'm just wrapping over again, just a little bit more security for that foam to stop it rotating. It's a fine balance really between stopping it rotating around the hook shank and also making it secure but not cutting through the foam. It is a very easy fly to tie though. So I've just wet my fingers with a little pot of water I keep by the side of the vise, and I'm putting on some brown olive seal's fur. If you're having trouble with it, by all means use a bit of wax on the thread before you apply the seal's fur, but sometimes I find it's a bit messy waxes, and I do like the sort of random effect you get with the fur. You need this sort of extra fibres sticking out to just give it a little bit more life and translucency. So I'm just winding this round the hook. It doesn't have to be anything special. I'm using the rotary function just to make sure that I cover all the white bits of the foam that are there. I've got this judged about right. You need a little space underneath to enable you to finish off the fly later. Now I'm putting about 4 or 5 turns of this pearl tinsel on, but remember not to pull it too tight, because with this and a lot of pearl tinsels, if you pull them tight, they'll change colour, and this one will go like a blue colour, which I found the fish aren't too keen on, to be quite honest. So I'm just trapping off the pearl tinsel here with a few quite strong turns, and I'll go in with the scissors just to nip it off. Obviously be careful that you don't cut the foam at all, so you can't really see here because my hand's masking it, but get it fairly close. And now what I'm going to do, the fly is pretty much finished apart from a bit of trimming, so I'm going to put a whip finish on, about 3 or 4 turns, something like that. I tie these flies for clients of mine though, so what I do, I usually put an extra whip finish on. This is just so if the trout's teeth snag the thread, you've got that little bit of an extra sort of insurance on there. And it only takes a moment to do. You know, it's just a nice thing for the client, really, to have that bit of reassurance that it will last. So I'm going to nip this off with a scalpel again, just to keep it nice and close. Scalpels as well are really good for GSP threads, so I'd advise you to get some, but be careful with them. So I'm just nipping these off a little bit longer than what I need. I tend to pull it slightly, the foam, to give it a little bit of a taper at the end. But sometimes the fish do get wary of breathers that big, so in that case what I would do is just trim them down on the bank. But I like the bigger ones, especially when your eyes aren't as good as they used to be. So I'm just trimming off all the stray fibres from the bottom. Keep the ones at the top, keep that nice and rough. I know Dave Shipman's original pattern was quite teased out and rough at the top. Well, that's it now for today's fly. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you try it and let me know how you get on. I've caught fish, like I say, up to 8 pounds on this fly. I think that was a black seals fur variant, but it works really well in the brown olive, the black, and a fiery claret SLF I think I've used in the past, which has been really good when buzzers are hatching off. Anyway, I hope you like it. Please subscribe and like the video, and join me next week for another pattern. Thank you. Goodbye.